Alright, we've got some Battlefield news hot off the press as lead community manager Part Welsh fired off a tweet this morning directing us to take a look at the official Battlefield Direct communication thread, and it has taken the team over at DICE a month plus to get this out and into the game, but at last we have something incoming. My name is LtBuzzLitebeer, and if you like what you see, maybe consider hitting that big, beautiful subscribe button. And if you really like what you see, possibly consider also ringing the bell to never miss a future upload notification from my channel. Unfortunately, as a publication of this Battlefield News Update video, the detailed patch notes themselves were not yet available, but it is mentioned they will be coming later today. And when they do, I will grab that link and post it in my pinned comment and also in this video's description. So right out of the gate, there is a sneak peek of a refreshed scoreboard that they are hoping to introduce in Update 3.3 next month. You heard right. Tomorrow's update is actually 3.2, so it will not include this legacy item known as a scoreboard, but at least we get a first glimpse of what this proposed layout will look like. Now from the layout, we will be able to see the timer, ticket count, ribbon progression, player and AI list with what looks like the live players showing up in the highlighted colorings, a tally scoreboard, kills, assists, revives, captures, and defenses. Overall, the design feels way too cluttered, but at least it will be coming back to the game sometime in mid to late February with Update 3.3. Also, and I just noticed this, but your deaths are displayed on the left-hand side to you, but not overall on the main scoreboard for all to see. So it seems that DICE is still attempting to toe that fine line. Continuing on to the official post, and there's this little splash of text simply stating that Update 3.2, which is set to go live tomorrow, January 20th, will deliver a handful of small fixes and improvements to the game focused around stability. Now, maybe these will be focusing on connection stability as players are still getting dropped on a consistent basis from matches, or maybe this has to do with the rubber banding and overall laggy feeling when connected up to servers. However, at this point, since we don't have the line-by-line details of all of what is going into 3.2, all I can do is speculate. Stability is a very broad term used to cover a huge range of issues, and for Battlefield 2042, pretty much any terminology you can fit under the header of stability issues are issues that plague this title. I really want to see what they're going to be doing in this department, and like I said, once those notes are made available, I will attach a link to this video for all to see. Where the bulk of this Battlefield DirectCom post focuses in on is what looks like will be a much more substantial patch, that being Update 3.3, which according to this post should arrive sometime mid to late February. First up in that upcoming update is this refreshed scoreboard that I already showed you, and I personally don't know why Battlefield was ever launched without it. I mean, I can speculate as to why, but that doesn't ring with me as a solid reason not to include it. Anyways, the post goes on to say that this is essentially the alpha version of this proposed scoreboard, and it will receive further updates beyond this refresh, so expect to see further iterations once it's live in the game. The post also mentions that the team is looking forward to our feedback once this new scoreboard goes live. Now, if there is one thing you can 100% count on, like the sun rising in the east, is that the Battlefield community will be providing feedback. Now, my initial thoughts, and I'd like to comment on them right now, is that this overall design looks to be overly artistic and way too cluttered. I'd like to see the ribbon progression highlighted by maybe a scrolling award at the end of the match, and I don't think we need all of this instantaneous feedback like capture zones, sector control, and team deaths. While in a match, all the player really needs is player ID, overall score, kills, deaths, assists maybe if you want to include them, and then maybe a highlighter to differentiate bots from live players. Now, once the final scoreboard recap pops up, you could then include stats like revives, captures, and defenses. But it just doesn't feel like Battlefield without your deaths displayed next to your kills. This game is all about PTFOing, killing the enemy team more than they can kill you. And that ratio is a motivator. Call it a personal report card or scorecard for players to evaluate their progress not only versus themselves, but the other players in their squad, team, and the server. Let's be honest here, there's an overwhelming amount of visceral feedback coming in from all angles during a competitive round of Battlefield, and many times you're just going to forget what happened during certain aspects of those battles. Having that scoreboard showing the important information, like not only how many kills you achieved, but how many deaths you accrued, is important. It can be used as a tool to better yourself, and you can take a look at it and see like, wow, I had 22 deaths that round, and then it really starts to jog your memory. And then you quickly think back to that point in the round where you were running recklessly around, not using cover, trying to get a 720 no-scope montage on a hovercraft driver, and they just kept killing you. Anyways, it gives you instant feedback as to how you were helping and or hurting your team. And with Battlefield, the name of the game is to always be helping your team. Now, as far as not including that deaths taken counter, I guess I know why they're trying to avoid putting it in, but there are always going to be douchebags trolling other players in this game. It is, after all, an online multiplayer PvP experience. And nixing the deaths counter from the scoreboard is not going to silence the twat waffles and their toxic spew. Now, luckily for Battlefield 2042, they've already taken that into consideration by removing the in-game chat, better known as VoIP. Using this as a perfect segue into the next item, and unfortunately, tomorrow's update will not include the needed changes to matchmaking preferences and all-out warfare, and it will not include all-platform VoIP. The team says that both of these items are still on their radars, God I hope so, but they are still working on them and will have more to show us down the line. Now, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here because at this point, that poor horse has been whipped into just nothing but dust. But how a Battlefield game launched without the ability to filter your matchmaking preferences and without any in-game communication is fucking mind-blowing. This is Battlefield, a game that prides itself on providing visceral, tactical combat experiences. And somewhere over at EA DICE, they just decided that the ability to communicate with your squad was overrated, and they took it out. They might as well have completely taken out all game sound and just released Battlefield with ASMR sounds playing lightly in the backgrounds. Both of these items need to be addressed like yesterday, actually like 2 months ago, and if possible, they need to be installed into the game prior to whenever Update 3.3 is scheduled to go live. Continuing on, and the XP earned in Portal is next up, or should I say the lack of XP due to the throttling applied by DICE, and they've explained that tomorrow more servers and game types will go live in order to allow players to progress on mastery and weekly missions. Now, as I was scripting out this video, the Battlefield Direct Communication team fired off this artwork that outlines the new XP progression charts and how they will be applied, so let's take a look at it together. For full progression, that means full player XP, mastery XP, ribbon XP, and weekly missions, you will need to be in a featured experience. Now, the moderate progression tab, which throttles the player XP to 300 XP gained per minute for your player and disables ribbon XP, will be available for custom experiences using all modifiers except Rules Editor, AI, or Damage Health mods. And finally, the restricted progression track will only allow for 300 player XP per minute and is enabled when playing in the custom experience tab and using the rules editor, AI, or damage health mods. Now, these portal changes will go live in tomorrow's update, and they are explaining that there are plans to include a UI indicator showing if the created mod will have progression restrictions, but that is not ready to be installed in tomorrow's update. And finally, game performance has a really small text mention here that they are basically reviewing over all the data and hope to develop further optimizations that will enable the game to make best use of our hardware. Again, nothing for optimization in tomorrow's update, and how poorly the game runs and overall how low res it looks in game have been noticeable since this game's launch. Optimization will require that the devs go back into the game and rewrite a ton of code, but it is obviously needed just based on the subpar levels of performance the game is producing. So overall, as far as what I can see, not a whole lot is going to happen tomorrow. You'll get the XP changes to Portal and some yet to be explained stability fixes, with the bulk of the changes coming in Update 3.3 sometime in mid to late February. Once I see the comprehensive list of patch notes for tomorrow's update, I will link them in this video and be ready to post a follow-up video to this news update probably tomorrow once I've had time to review over each change line by line. Remember to smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my channel. I would also greatly appreciate you just taking a second to rate and or share this video. Thank you for all the love you've been showing the channel as of late, as earlier this week we passed the 75,000 subscriber mark. Don't forget to find and follow me on Twitch, as I am fully partnered, and over on Twitter, and you are always invited to join my community Discord server. Links to all of these platforms in the video description below. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.